Ryan, how about this? We've talked about RTO probably 50 times this year. You
Mm,
ready for some?
too many times.
Yeah, too many times. Good point.
Hmm.
We should have a limit on things where we just say, okay, we've hit that. Ageism. Yeah, we've talked about that enough. Good.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about that in a couple of years. Anyhow, we've talked about RTO, and I found this story, and it's a way that companies are kind of combating RTO in a good way,
Mm.
or I'll let you decide that. All right, here's the deal. Some companies are incorporating in-office speakeasies to lure employees back to the office, providing a
Mm.
private and relaxed environment for meetings and socializing. The spaces feature dim lighting, comfortable seating, and amenities such as bars and lounge areas. This is on worklife.news. You can go take a look at it. So when I read this article, three things came to mind immediately. Alcohol at work never ends well, my experience. Two, what's your fraternization policy? Because it needs to be updated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And can I work in a speakeasy? So this is just me thinking as I read. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
can I just work in the bar?
Yeah. First off, the word speakeasy, every time somebody says that, just I don't know, man. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's like
Yeah,
there's speakeasy. I'm like, it's kind of like
yeah.
moist,
See,
right? Like you say,
yeah.
if I say moist around my wife, she like smacks me. It's the same thing. Like
Speak.
speakeasy just sounds dirty to me. I don't
Well,
know.
how many speakeasies have you been in? Just to be fair.
Maybe two.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Some of them
Yeah.
are cool. Some of
Yeah.
them, the experience is actually really cool. I just can't imagine. And they had photos.
Hmm.
So Perkins and Will Architects, they actually have photos of different speakeasies that they build for corporations.
I don't hate the idea. It's kind of like 2025's version of the foosball table, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we're gonna have
But
massage tables,
whatever
and
happened to just going to work, getting
ah,
paid, and
no,
going
no,
home and having
no,
dinner with your
dude,
family?
I want to work. If that happens to me, I'm working in the speakeasy. I don't care. It's dim. I don't care. I'm working there so I can
Just
order
doing it.
alcohol.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I worked at the YMCA in the lobby
yeah.
years ago just because I could, but it's not a speakeasy.
No.
All right. So, movers and shakers. I'm going to add some movers and shakers in. So, a
Okay.
few notable executive moves uh, throughout the industry for some of the industry leaders that we know. So, we've got HireView,
Hmm.
and I don't know these. I don't know the people
Yeah, yeah.
that are there. So, I'm just going to tell you who they are. So, HireView appoints Smitha Venugopal. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. New Chief Financial Officer. So that's cool. PayScale brings in Kate Peter as its new Chief Commercial Officer, and UKG brings in Sarah Hodges as
Hmm.
a new CMO. So three big companies with
Yeah.
three big hires going into the new year. What does that tell you?
Two things. There's a trend, and there has been for years, on chief commercial officer
Yeah,
that it kind of blends some different things depending on the person, right?
yeah.
It can blend sales and marketing and go to market and all that stuff, or it could be something separate. But I looked Sarah Hodges up when I saw the from UKG. Jennifer does a wonderful
Hmm.
job of sending out announcements, and one of them was about this. Her background is lights out.
It
Like
is. It
she's
just
been in
glows.
Boston, and so she's a tech marketer. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think I didn't catch that she had industry
I
experience,
don't
but
believe so.
we can catch her up pretty quickly on that stuff. But great hire, absolute great hire.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Ryan, let me throw this one at you. CEO optimism about the global economy spiked to 42%, according to a Fortune slash Deloitte CEO survey fall 2024. CEOs see more opportunity than risk in regulation over the next 12 months,
Hmm.
potential tax cuts, deregulation, and a more favorable environment for mergers and acquisitions.
Yep.
So this is at Deloitte.com. You can go ahead and take a look at that. So guess what the number was before?
Before 42%?
Yep, last year. Yep,
Oh, I'm going to say 23, 24.
you're real close. 7%.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I was just a little bit outside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
You
think
know,
about it. This is the election.
Well, we've spoken to a number of CEOs and co-founders this fall, prior to and post
Yeah.
election, and they've all kind of had the same story.
Yep.
So personally, they may have wanted something else, but for the business,
Yep.
this was a win. And this is exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about the tax cuts, the deregulations, and
Yep.
all of this stuff that comes. And it's hard for people to understand
Yeah.
when you're not the founder of or the CEO of a large or a growing company.
They got a different vista. They're looking at
They
it differently. But
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I love it that CEOs are optimistic because to me, it triggers that they're going to take chances,
yeah,
and that's good for all of us. That
yeah,
they're going to loosen up the pace, all the strings on that,
exactly.
and it's going to flood to everyone else. So you know, whatever your politics are, or whatever. Like I just like seeing that in a survey.
Yeah,
Again, it's like 5,000 CEOs, so it wasn't a
yeah.
small survey.
Hmm.
And Fortune Magazine and Deloitte did it together.
Right.
So, like, I trust the results.
Hey, you know what? Let's just all get along. Let's all make money. Let's all be happy.
There you go.
And now it's time for the plum stat of the show. When people flourish, business thrives. Unlock the benefits of 360-degree talent insights at plum.io.
All right, William, I got a question for you.
All right.
According to Plum's research,
Okay.
47% of employees have left the company due to the lack of career development opportunities. What are your thoughts?
That number is just going to climb.
Climb
Yeah, that
higher.
number. I believe if we do that stat this time next year, that's going to be in the 60s because internal mobility
Mm-hmm.
and people wanting to work faster and escalate their
Mm-hmm.
careers faster. So companies to combat that, obviously, companies just have to get great at internal mobility and understanding both with training, skills development, and all those things that we talk about all the time. They're going to have to dump that in, and that's going to be from onboarding, maybe even
Yeah.
pre-boarding. Like, listen, let's get you on a path because it reminds me it's probably 100 years ago, I learned that in India, there were micro promotions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So about every, I think it was 6 months, I'll just run with that, but it might have been sooner. They had to have a promotion so that they could show their family that they were moving, that they
Right.
were that they were,
And it's very title heavy at that
it's
point. Yeah.
extremely title heavy, but you know what? It's kind of what we're dealing with now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if we did it as Gen X as much, but for
Well,
sure with millennials and Gen Z.
I don't I don't think so, man. I think we had, or at least the mentality that we've had was get a job, stick in a job. And
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
it,
okay.
right?
I have a bad boss. All right. Well, that's
That too bad. I'm going to deal with it, and that's because that's how our parents were, right?
that's
And we're
right.
still of that.
I'm,
And I mean, I lost that years ago.
oh, I'm jealous. I'm
Thankfully,
jealous of Gen Z because they're just
yeah,
like deuces. I'm out.
yeah, yeah. So
What?
what are your thoughts on it? So when I hear this, I think so. Yes, for career lack
Yeah.
of development opportunities, got it. But with the lack of mobility or potential lack of mobility internally, I guess I could just say internal
Yep.
mobility,
Yeah. Yeah.
do the managers prevent the employees or the workers from taking on new opportunities, right? It's
Bad
talent
managers.
scares, bad
Bad managers
managers. We've all
do.
been there. We've all been there.
Good managers want the flock they want their folks to go on and do great things.
Right.
That's a hallmark of a
Yeah.
good, great manager. A bad manager wants to suppress
Yeah.
because they've
Yeah.
got a good person doing great stuff, and it's like I don't want that to leave because it makes
Right.
my job harder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's funny. So today I was talking with an old colleague who I worked with through Connexa in
yeah,
IBM. He's still at IBM. God bless
yeah,
him. I don't know
yeah.
what the hell he's doing. They've been there 14 years now.
Wow.
So, and funny enough, and a story for another time, but his job today, he's left RPO, but his job today is based on the work that we did together And he never really thought about that. He's probably gonna listen and say, like, I just told you that. I know you just told me today. I got you. Um, but it's fresh in my head. He's like, you know, I have this job because of the work that we did together,
Yep.
right? But he was probably the first employee that I had that I was kind of like, go on, like
Yeah.
go do
You,
something, right? Like
dude,
you're
you're
too good, you're too smart, you need to be there. And ultimately, probably needed to be where I like at the point
yeah,
where I was. He was
100%.
much better than I was.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
ultimately Jeff Bezos historically
yeah,
said, I want to hire people that are better, smarter than me, up until the point where I can't get a job in my own executive team.
yes, yeah. I just saw that a clip
I,
of that. Yeah,
it's like that was bold, and I think he held to it, quite frankly.
yeah.
But I think the thing with that stat, it's a really important stat, and I'm glad Plum's doing research like this.
Yeah.
It's I think that stat, if we dig into it, that's skills. People are terrified
Yeah.
about skills and being left behind. And so I think that, we're going to have to really put a lot of time, effort, and money into skills development and internal
Oh.
mobility.
All right. Final point on this. Where is that number in 26?
In 26,
Yeah.
yes, 61, 62%.
All right. I was gonna go 64. We're good.
Yeah.
We're right
Yeah,
there.
you're
We're right
about
there.
50, yeah, about 15 points up. Yeah. Because the frustration level is going to go up. If
Yeah.
people aren't doing it, that's basically a frustration meter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's get worse before it gets better.
And there you go, the plum stat of the show.
All right. California eliminates degree requirements for 30,000 state jobs. This is, I think, pretty big news, right? California
Yeah.
is once again setting precedent for something, right? And I think this is pretty big. They are one of the most progressive states in America. They've dropped degree requirements for 30,000 positions. This moves them into more focusing on more skills and experience and
Hmm.
competencies over what school I went to and can I do the job because I went
Right.
to a school. But a few things stand out. I want to get your hot take on this as well. But a few things here stand out for me. This opens a door for non-traditional
Hmm.
educational backgrounds
Right.
and diversity.
Yep.
Right. So as we see a lot of corporations and institutions, and I think was it in Boise or well, I forget where across the entire state they removed the
Hmm.
diversity admissions and
Right.
all of this stuff just recently. I think this is one of the things that California will show. Guys, look, this is how you become a more diverse
Yeah. You just
pool of talent. You just open it up. You don't have to do
and
anything special.
let
Just
people
open it up
compete.
and
Yeah.
let people compete. And this is driven obviously because one, they people need to work. There
Right.
are people that are out of jobs in California, and California itself has a talent shortage. So, you got to kind of think, okay, feels like common sense.
Yeah.
We have a talent shortage. We have people that need to work. Let's put the skill where the job is
Yeah.
instead
No.
of the
For
degree.
people that don't have degrees or don't have a traditional degree, I like the way you phrase that. They don't have a traditional degree. They scan the job description and it says,
Yeah,
mandatory BA or BS, whatever. They just go to the next thing. They just
right.
you know. So they also
Yeah,
California they banned the box, so they're also uh, I'd say felon friendly.
right.
I think people know what I mean by that. So they're trying to open up that aperture, and at the same time, California is terrified of what Trump's team's going to do with immigration
Right.
because if it's a closed border, as some have thought, like
They will be
close.
affected greatly.
Yes, but I've also heard that there's ways around that for migrant uh,
Sure.
food workers and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I know that they're scared.
Yeah. Now, what I do want to say, and I'm pretty sure this will happen because California just kind of
Yeah,
leads in this area.
yeah,
As they're bringing in these new, one, I want to see how many people are hired with
right,
non-degreed professionals. How many of those 30,000 are actually filled with those people, and it's not just a
right,
thing they're saying, right, to make
right.
news. But what are they going to provide in terms of training? What are they going to provide in terms of upskilling to move them through and not just say, come fill this seat today, but
Yeah.
how are you going to be with us in 10 years? Which is ultimately what I think they
Yeah.
want and certainly need.
Young bankers on Wall Street are increasingly and openly using stimulants like Adderall, Vyvanse, and energy drinks to cope with the long work hours and high pressure environments.
I thought that was always a thing.
Yeah, I know. Bankers describe seeing peers snort lines of crushed Adderall in the
Jesus.
office or take shots of energy drinks. These drugs are seen as performance enhancers, but they come with some significant health risks, obviously, including addiction and potential heart problems.
Okay.
So this is in the Wall Street Journal. That's why it caught my eye, because like there's been several movies about like this bit,
Hmm.
but they don't mention cocaine. And that was the weird part for me because
That's
like
so
all
1980.
I'm like, oh, well, not really. This is, but I'm reading it. I'm like, well, are we going to mention meth or coke? Like, are we going to get to the other stuff? Like, this is all legal.
You were taking this personally.
I did. They don't mention cocaine. Weird. And second note for the audience is if you've crushed Adderall and snorted it, you have a coke dealer on speed text. You just can't get from one place to the other.
Did you say speed text?
Oh yeah. No, yeah, you know the favorites?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. Your
I just
coke
never
dealers
heard. I
your
just never
coke
heard
dealers
speed text
your
before.
coke dealer is on speed text. It's like
I've heard speed dial.
well, see, on my phone, different from most people's phone, is I only have 7 people favorited.
Am I one
Ev-
of
e-
those people?
Everybody else is just like they're in there ish,
Yeah.
but like no, there's only 7. That's for me. That's speed dial.
Hmm.
So
Got
so here's the deal. If you're crushing Adderall and snorting
it.
it at your desk,
Let's just say you got a problem.
yeah, it's just good point. Newsflash, you have a problem.
Yeah. There's
So
there's solutions for that. All right. You've heard of Klarna, right?
I have.
Okay, so Klarna, for those who don't know, they are the Swedish company, but they provide payment solutions online for shoppers, merchants alike. So if you're shopping, you'll see pay with Klarna, that type of thing. Their CEO has publicly said in a TechCrunch, I believe it was a TechCrunch interview, that AI, they have stopped hiring because of AI. So this was interesting, which I think we all know is
Right.
happening. But he actually came out and said, "No, of course, like I don't need to hire 50 people to do this job. I can do it here." Not that he's not hiring other people. So the rub on this article was he says, or the interview, he says, we're not hiring because of AI, but they still have like thousands of jobs opened
Right.
or hundreds or something, whatever it was. They have a ton of jobs that are open. And so they were questioning him on that. And essentially what they broke it down was, look, we're not getting rid of humans. The
Right.
humans will work alongside the AI, but we are bringing AI and replacing humans in data analysis, customer support, fraud detection,
Yep.
personalization, like recommendation engines and stuff like that, and then ops, like back office stuff. And so, uh, you know, uh,
He said
un-
what we're all thinking.
yeah, unpopular maybe, but it's true and
Yeah.
it's happening. So it's, I mean, there are people affected. I get that. So I'm sensitive to that. But you have to, at this point, just know it's happening
Yeah.
and go out there and do something about it. You can't invest in Uber today and be a billionaire.
Right.
You could have invested a long time ago, right? So invest in yourself now and grow and get there. Don't wait, is what I'm saying. Yeah, there you go. Got my take on that.
Helios. Ryan, you remember
Oh yeah,
Helios?
he
You
owes
know,
me a sweatshirt. You
he
call
owes
him.
you a hoodie.
He owes me a hoodie. That
He
yeah,
owes you a hoodie. It was a wonderful use case
yeah.
podcast for us.
I'm gonna
A
tag him in
leading
this.
global workforce management and payment platform, just for
Mhm.
the audience, has unveiled cryptocurrency payroll function solution set to launch January 25. So
Mm.
in just a number of days here. You can find that at helios.io, and it's in there. They've got a press release in there in the blog. But this, to my knowledge, this is the first time I've seen this.
No.
And parallel with that, crypto is going to be huge under President Trump
Oh, gotcha.
because, well, for all it was the last time during his term, first term, but also Don Jr. and his dad own a crypto company. So, I'm not saying there's going to be a conflict of interest.
I'm not saying no,
I'm
will
not,
be,
s-
but
I'm not
there
saying
might
that.
be. Mm,
However, they're both very excited about crypto, and so it's going to open up all kinds of stuff. You might be able to pay your taxes with crypto. I mean, it,
Hey,
it might get to that point. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. I'm happy for Helios. I'm happy for them to do something really crazy innovative. They've got everything in place.
mm-hmm.
So you can read the blog article, and it goes deep into privacy and
Yeah.
security and all that type of stuff. But I'm happy for
Get me my hoodie.
them.
Okay, the EEOC. I'm going back to EEOC. Now, what's everybody got to come up with a name for this, like
Yeah,
EOC, or
yeah.
something like that. They warn the EEOC is warning that employers using wearable tech at work could violate employee rights if
Mm,
not handled correctly. I think we knew this was coming.
yeah,
We may have talked about something like this in the past, but this is about data collection.
right.
The rub here is that organizations are starting to cross over across the line, and they're not staying compliant with privacy laws. So think
Hmm.
health information, think physical activity levels, location data, biometric data, like heart and sleep patterns, things like that. And
Right,
so they're using this data. Some employers have been found to use this data to assess performance,
right,
promotions, and hiring, right?
right.
So do I really want my executives who have really poor heart rates or really poor sleep patterns, or they're in shady parts of town, or they live in a shady part of town?
Yeah,
So this is real,
yeah.
and it's happening, and the EEOC is monitoring this, and I think they've smacked a few people, a few employers for this, but now they're cautioning it, officially cautioning it, and saying there is compliance around this, and you need to understand it.
I think the thing for me is it comes down to consent. If you're just
Hmm.
monitoring and I don't know that you're monitoring,
Yeah.
then that's a fail.
Yeah.
If I know, like you've given me a
Hmm.
Fitbit, a corporate Fitbit, then and the data is going to be sucked up and analyzed and all that type of stuff, and I'm okay with it. Again, you can't
Well, the
force.
monitoring is fine,
Yeah,
but
it's what they do with the data.
what are you doing with the data? You can't run a performance review on me because I live in, a lower middle class area as opposed to,
Well,
upper
evidently,
middle class.
evidently you can.
Well, you can. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we
Absolutely.
we we have biases about that stuff anyhow. There's
Right.
some of it we just see in sourcing and recruiting.
Yeah.
We don't see it in as their
It's
employees.
less. Yeah.
But just two notes for those that are listening: never masturbate with a Fitbit on. Just FYI, just
Okay.
life advice. And also, never masturbate at the hospital if you're hooked up and you've got all the little things on there because it'll code the nurses.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm just saying for the
I
younger people that are out there that maybe
yeah.
they haven't read these articles.
I'm not sure I know where to go with that one. Maybe edits. I don't know. There we go. We'll just go to the next story. How about that one?
Cast members are stripped of fundamental rights, gagging them or speaking out,
Mm.
denied legal recourse, paid virtually
Are we
nothing,
talking about Disney cast members or like
prevented
actors?
from working elsewhere. Reality TV contestants
Oh,
have now been reclassified as employees by the NLRB.
they
This is
weren't
a,
employees before.
they were not employees. They were not, and they could do anything. Basically they could make up
Hmm.
sign any contract that they want
Hmm.
with the hope that they'd get famous, all that stuff.
Sure.
So this is on Fast Company. Take a look at it because it is a fascinating article. But you know, for me, the first thing is how fast do you spell union? So there's that. They've been doing reality TV for about 30 years, and
Hmm.
so this has been about 30 years in the making. Hollywood is moved to reality TV because of the writer's strike,
Right.
and they're super easy to create because they're cheap.
Yeah.
And so this reclassification makes sense. Now they have rights. I
Interesting.
wonder how it's going to impact programming because reality TV shows
I,
cheap
I
to
don't
make.
I don't think it's going to affect anything. They're just going to sell higher rated advertising, and they're going to find
Could
like,
be, could
well,
be.
no, let's just say it'll affect programming the fact that they're not just going to put all crap on there, right?
Right,
They're going to
right, right,
find
right.
higher level, really good quality reality
Which
TV.
which uh which helps all of us, right?
Yeah. Well, if you watch Kardashian, sure. No. All right. Salesforce, in the news today, they announced they're hiring 2,000 new employees to focus on selling its growing portfolio of AI driven products.
So
Uh,
they're hiring people to sell AI.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whoa,
So,
whoa, news at
so
11.
yeah, AI, which we already know is no longer nice to have, it is
Mm-hmm.
a
Yep.
must have, right? Like we've passed the point of like, oh, what is this cool little thing? Like, no, it's a
No, no, we're
must
good.
have, right? We know that. It's become a core part of how businesses operate and scale, right? So Salesforce knows this. They're doubling down on this and they're leveraging AI as a revenue driver in the business. So whereas some companies are reducing headcount, which I'm sure they will as well, and they have because
Right.
I think they've cut to focus on this. They're rehiring based on skill sets who understand people who understand AI,
Yeah.
how to use it in business and grow and sell. And
And
so
use it in the Salesforce ecosystem. So
exactly. Yeah.
they've made a lot of investments in AI, and
Yeah.
I don't bet against Mark Benioff, and I don't
No.
bet against Salesforce. They've done too many things right over the
No.
years. Just bet with them,
Yeah.
and
It's a big bet, but it's no brainer. It's a
good
no
for them.
brainer here.
All right, Ryan. Last of the B's of the news. Netflix has changed its parental leave policy, moving from an unlimited time off to more of a structured approach. This has caused quite the controversy. So the new policy, salaried employees receive 26 weeks of paid leave, and hourly workers receive 12 weeks. Employees are generally advised to take up to 6 months, with any additional time requiring some manager approval. So that's the new policy. The old policy, Netflix's original policy, offered unlimited parental leave for up to a year. It
Hmm.
didn't delineate between salary or hourly, and it didn't have managerial approval. You could take as much as you need up to a year, and you stayed in communication with everybody
Hmm.
and all that stuff. But so this is a huge change, not a little bitty change, it's massive. So I don't mind the policy. First of all, I don't mind a structured parental
Yeah.
leave policy. That is no issues for me. I just wish they would have done it transitions. If we're going from unlimited up to a year, maybe
Yeah.
over 2 or 3 years, say, hey, this is the plan, this is what we're doing. And, that was cool when we were a startup and it was great, but we need to have more stability, blah, 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 blah. You can justify it in a
Yeah.
number of ways, but I just wish they would have done it
Yeah.
over a couple of years rather than, Jan 1, there
Yeah.
it is.
And it's an immediate change.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, yeah, that's a pretty big change for sure. I mean, I ain't got nothing else to say about that.
There you go.
It is a big change. All right, I've got some acquisitions for us. You want to kick off acquisitions? I'll kick it
Let's
off. Want
do
me to
it.
kick it off? I'll kick
Bring
it
it.
off. I'll kick it off. All right. TeamViewer
Hmm.
is going to acquire 1E for a whopping $720 million. So big. That's a big take.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of thoughts here. I for whatever reason I happen to I think it's because I read about 1E earlier in the year. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So got a few thoughts. One is I love what 1E does, and so what 1E does is it's an automation company, and so it automates within business process. So it has the ability to understand problems before they become problems. So think of like IT slowdowns,
Right.
my email's not working, or something that's being downloaded has a virus or some malware attached to it. Rather than 4,000 people at the company putting tickets in and having to wait 72 hours to get the response.
Right.
This predicts it, this sees it, and it fixes it, and it can push out firmware updates, etc., and a whole bunch of other stuff that it does prior to the problem becoming a problem. So, two, the companies have very little overlap in customers.
I can
Um,
sell to each other's customers forever.
Exactly. So they have, and the reason that is because TeamViewer is on the opposite end of the
Hmm.
spectrum.
Yep.
So they're focused on remote access.
Right.
So their remote access, 1E is automation. So it moves TeamViewer into something that's a little bit, 2025,
And
gets
vice
them
versa.
into, yeah, exactly. And they now they have a lot. So I think the numbers was like 2 years or something before they'll, and they'll see the return on everything here. However, congrats, 720. That's a big get. So don't hate
Huge,
that at all.
huge fan of TeamViewer, as they are the shirt sponsor for Manchester United.
Oh,
So
well,
I've been familiar with their brand since 20, I
we all
think.
know them from somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's where I know them, and I'm happy for every time I hear their
There
name.
you go.
All right, so I'm gonna do two of them really quickly. ProProfs, a provider of employee learning and development
Mhm.
solutions, acquired PeopleGoal, a performance management software company. So this
Mm.
is at citybiz.co. So this is kind of kind of an excellent example of build versus buy. ProProfs wants to go laterally and connect performance with learning or learning with performance.
Mhm.
So this is people have tried this and people have done this forever. I mean, Cornerstone started
Yeah.
as learning, and then one of the first products that they built was performance, and so they're trying to connect the two. So great example of someone that could have built performance management decided to buy someone that was already pretty good at it. Congrats.
Makes complete sense.
All right, so Quick Start, an online IT workforce development company, acquired Career Development Solutions, and they offer career training programs.
Mm.
So this is a PR web, so you can look that up. They're both based in Austin. It's a great example of consolidation in a limited space. An online IT workforce development company buys career training programs.
Mm.
Like this is just a great example of how the market kind of says these two things should be together.
Right.
So there you go.
Nice. Very nice. All right, we've got one for Deal. You ever heard of Deal? And
Love
like
deal.
they haven't acquired anybody in the last week. So, but they have. But they have. So this is actually more less about the acquisition and more about Deal. So they acquired a company called Assemble, and
Hmm.
this is to strengthen their compensation management capabilities. So this is interesting for me. So 2019 is when Deal was founded.
All right.
They have completed 10 acquisitions since 2019, 5 in 2024.
Yep.
That is huge. They're now valued at $12 billion. They've raised 650 million since it was founded in 2019. And in Business Insider, they had an article. Their CEO and co-founder gave an article. His name's Alex, who joined an interview, and they did an article on it, on his reasoning behind how he decides what company to acquire and why.
Yeah.
And so some of it obviously is for the tech, and the others it was for the skills gap because they're rapidly expanding since 2019 that inevitably creates a skill gap. And so some of their acquisitions are simply just cool tech, good tech. It could help. They got some customers, but there are people above and beyond. They bring them in. He had a whole thing on
Yeah.
his thought, which is probably no different than most
Well,
CEOs who do acquisitions.
35,000 customers and 650 million in funding.
Is a
At
lot.
some point, you have to put that money to work.
Yeah,
And so that's the reason for the
yeah.
acquisitions is, oh yeah, they could build
They don't need
whatever.
to build.
They could go build it or they could just go buy somebody
Yeah.
and then integrate it. Now that's historically what we've called that is Frankenstein.
Hmm.
There's a number of players in the space that have done this before, and then it is getting the technology to talk to one another
Yeah.
and get it to work together. But I'm sure they
They,
probably worked with them, like a lot of acquisitions. They worked with them as a
yes.
partner, and then felt like, okay, this is good for us. Let's
Yeah.
acquire.
Yeah, and that's one of his points that he talks about is Assemble was one of those where,
Yeah,
we're in the
that
in the
tracks.
market with them, we work with them, we have,
Yeah,
a bajillion
prob-
clients together.
probably a good culture match and some
It
other things. Yeah,
makes sense. So congrats to those guys, and they are sponsored. Full disclosure, they are a sponsor of Work Define, and we had a show
sure,
launch this past Friday
that's right.
with their head of payroll and
She was fantastic.
Mariah. Yeah, she was a really funny interview. So, and she's in
Our
Philly. Go Birds.
last acquisition, BuildForce, a platform connecting skilled electricians with top electrical contractors, acquired Ladder, a technology-enabled construction labor place. This is on buildforce.com.
Hmm.
The goal here is quite simple. It's to become the default hiring platform for the construction industry. So you can see, I mean, literally see exactly what they're trying to do with both companies
Hmm.
is to be that place where if you're in the construction industry and you need an electrician, and it wouldn't shock me if they add plumbing and add other types of things to that, but they want people to be able to go to one place to be able to find those folks. So great acquisition.
All right, Let's move on to research. So I've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
a one from Gallup today. So Gallup identifies the top workplace challenges heading into 2025, and I promised myself I would not look at trend reports this year.
Oh no.
However, I looked at trend reports this year. So research is it's actually pretty. It's Gallup, right? So it's well done, and it's actually pretty good. So the research highlights the critical need for organizations to address engagement, employee engagement, burnout, hybrid work challenges,
Hmm.
so on and so forth. So productivity, retention, well-being, all of that. There's a lot of stuff in this report, but I'll give you one key stat here. One of the things that stuck out to me is that 44%, so nearly half of employees report experiencing high levels of stress at work daily. And so I don't know that that was surprising to me. I actually would think it was maybe higher. So it's not surprising to me, but I don't know what companies are doing
Right.
to mitigate that. And so that's why that stuck out to me because I think that's going to be a driving factor for people to get fed up with work at their current employer, and that's probably the driving factor why they leave.
Two things as I listen to. One, I think the word burnout has lost all meaning
Oh, absolutely.
because put 10 people in a room and say define burnout, you're gonna get 14
Yep.
different answers. So I'm not sure, but the stat, I think that's low. Quite
Yeah.
frankly, I think just like you, I think that number is probably, if people are honest with themselves, that number is probably pretty high. Second note is about trends reports. I want to take all the trends reports in our industry and put them all into AI and then ask AI, okay, give me the three trends
I want to
out of
ask
all
it.
that
We could do a
garbage.
whole show on that. That's
You know what
great.
I'm saying?
I want to know. I want to ask it who is the original trend setter. Like
Oh,
who
yeah.
said this first and then who copied who, right? So attach everyone's name to the trend
Oh,
report, put
100%.
them all in. It's okay. Who said this
I
first?
like that.
And then there you go. Well,
But you know what I'm
whatever.
saying? Like take all of them, dump
Yeah.
all of them in there and just
Yeah.
go, all righty, enough. Give me three and
Give me
who
three.
said it first.
Give me three trends that I can go build a consulting business on
Yeah,
and be good for 25.
I
There
love
you
it.
go.
All right, let me give you a little bit of research. About 60% of managers and leaders in sales, marketing, and customer support, all areas where AI is projected to have significant impact, say AI carries stigma, likely fueled by fear and confusion, according to Seismic, a survey by Seismic. And I found it fascinating because one of the titles was "Stop calling it AI,"
Yeah.
because it has a stigma that people it
Hmm.
gets people to think about. So that's seismic.com. You can read the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. So as the Animal Farm 101, the longer you go, the words change. That's
Yeah.
just the way the bit goes. I don't hate this. So after I got off my high horse, I don't hate this because we should stop discussing the how
Right.
and more of the what. And
Yeah.
so it's less of AI. Like it just needs
hmm
to, okay, it's ubiquitous.
I think it's cyclical. I mean, like it's the same thing. Every
Yeah,
year is something different. Every couple years,
100%.
and we go through this conversation. But
Yeah,
all right, I've got one from our friends over at ISOB. So
right.
they released, oh, there we go. I said it again, 2025 HR Trends Report.
Get,
Although this is actually really good, and
there
they
you
always
go.
put out good stuff there. So this is a trends report that highlights key strategies for HR leaders to help with employee loyalty
Hmm.
and to drive business success as the workforce continues to change, which is happening every second of every day. So
100%.
there's a lot of stuff in here. If you don't know iSolve, go check them out, isolvehcm.com. Their reports, number one, are beautiful and they're chock full of information. One stat that stuck out to me here that I wanted to bring up:
All right, what do we got?
62% of employees say they would be more loyal to employers that offer a greater flexibility in their work arrangements.
Right. Just the idea of flexibility.
The
Just,
idea of I
oh,
now you don't have to. So I took it. You don't have to say work at home.
yeah,
It's hybrid. It's this. It's a whatever you want to call the model. Hybrid, it doesn't matter. But if you're not putting expectations on an employee to be somewhere to do something, they're gonna like you. They're gonna love you better. They're gonna be more loyal to you. And I think there's probably 90 other factors that go into that because working from home isn't just one. Because there's a lot of things that go into that. But I think so. I think there's other factors there. But I like the number. I
yeah.
thought that number would actually be lower personally.
Just a hint of flexibility would change so
Yeah.
many people's perspective of work and RTO and all that other stuff. All
Yeah.
right, let me give you two of them real quick, and I think you're going to like both of these. So, a new survey of over 2,000 women across the United States about mansplaining or about the mansplaining they regularly encounter.
Mm.
How often, where they encounter it, which topics men mansplain the most, and their experiences in dating and working with mansplainers. So this is fantastic. It like lists the cities where there's the most mansplainers. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is at jeffbett.com.
I like
Go
that.
go and take a look at it because it is fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll give you one stat that I think you know 83% of women say that they have more relevant experience than the mansplainers they encounter.
Probably very true.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Probably very true.
okay, so when I looked at this, it did give me a crisis of conscience a little bit because I don't really know. I know I've probably done this. Fair, guilty, whatever.
You mansplain to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm see. That's exactly where I was
You're
going.
mansplaining right now.
I think I mansplain all the time. Like I think this is just I don't know the clinical definition of mansplaining well enough to know because it's my personality. Have you ever heard of? Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's just how I
Yeah.
ask questions. So
Yeah.
for any of the women that I've encountered, I've done that too. I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry. I do that
Yeah.
to men too, if it
Yeah.
makes any difference. All
Hey,
right.
the Tootsie Roll that you're eating, let me just tell you, the
I'm just
chocolate
saying.
that they put in, this is how they make
Dude, you
see
and I
how they
talk like
wrap
this
it?
all the time. I'm literally Ryan. Have you ever heard of And you'll be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, cool,
Yeah.
great. All right, here we go. Last one in our research. Too much truth. 54% of hiring managers warn against excessive honesty at work. So this is at
Mm,
expresspros.com. Take a look at that.
okay.
It's really fascinating. So this is the bring the whole you to work, but fucking don't talk about
Bring I don't hate that. Like
it.
bring
Bring,
yourself,
bring yourself.
but just shut the fuck up and don't
Shut
tell me
it.
about it.
That's exactly what this says.
That's it. Yeah.
Finally, a survey that says what we've all been
Yeah.
thinking. Just do your job.
Yeah. That's actually I'm gonna go read this one because I kind of feel like people okay, Bring your whole self to work because we hired you.
Yeah,
We
whole.
want that. We
Yeah,
want what we hired. However, don't tell me you're thinking about putting a knife in someone's back when you drive home. Just come to work and do your job with the
yeah.
creativity that we hired you for.
Just do your job.
Because all
It's
of that fuels your creativity,
hmm
right? It all fuels it. I
coaches
just don't want to
Belichick and Saban had the exact same phrase: "Do your job.
do your job,
Do
and
your job."
that's it. That is it. All right, William. I've got some funding, some money, some dollar bills.
Great.
Databricks. You ever hear of Databricks?
I have.
All right,
Yes.
Databricks raises $10 billion with a B, $10 billion in a Series J funding, valuing the company at a measly $62 billion.
6x.
That is crazy.
That is
Um,
insane.
so for those who don't know Databricks, this actually ties into a conversation I was having with one of my daughters earlier this week, actually. So Databricks gives companies the tools to organize massive amounts. We're talking like petabytes amounts of data and use AI to make smarter decisions. So I was explaining something very similar to this the other day to one of my girls. We were talking,
Mansplaining. Hmm.
I was mansplaining Google Photos, right? And like, why can't you find a photo? Like, just go in there and search for my face, like, and so I just said, like, look at your phone. You have 2,000 photos and videos on your phone. How do you find a photo of a friend or a specific moment? How does
Yep.
Google know this and that, right? How do you organize this, right? That's a so for the audience's edification here, that's a few gigabytes, a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand, whatever, right? Like it's nothing. We're talking about petabytes. So single petabyte is equivalent to the amount of data a company like Netflix streams in one day. One day. So real quick, I want to run through. I know we got to get to the next one. 1 petabyte can hold about 500 billion pages of text, 13.3 years of HD video, assuming 1 gigabyte per video, and 250,000 HD movies at 4 gigs per movie. Anyhow, all this is what this means for HR teams is like figuring out why employees leave, predicting who might quit next, creating plans to keep your people longer, all of that stuff. This is what they do for us in HR and for talent. So
Love
I
it.
love it, and that's a hell of a lot of money. So
10 bills.
go use it.
All right. Twill, a platform that predicts companies with vetted tech professionals through peer recommendation raised $1.4 million. This is on Business Wire. Now, this is my own bias, but hiring via recommendations are tricky because it's
Hmm.
been my experience that A talent recommends A talent, B talent recommends C and D talent.
Yeah,
So as long as the top performers are making the recommendation, Twill will be fine.
yeah.
But good for them. 1.4 seed round, pre-seed
Hmm.
round. Good for them. Good.
There we go. Don't hire C players or you're fucked. All right. HSBC invest in TechWolf to show its commitment to skills intelligence. Um, so we reported on in their previous round back in June for
Right.
$43 million. I think we're going to see more of these investments because it aligns um, larger organizations that can fund this type of work. So we're talking like work software and work programs. But I don't think this one's just about the investment. This gives them meaning HSBC. This gives them the tools to map out, to measure, leverage all their workforce capabilities globally across the enterprise. So yes, they invest. Yes, they're doing their thing. But this is one of those selfish plays. They are going to benefit from this long term for themselves. So love it. I like what they're doing.
Love TechWolf. Salt AI, pioneer in AI workflow orchestration.
There you go.
Today announced it has raised $3 million and appointed a technology veteran, Aber Whitcomb, as the CEO. So the money comes with a CEO change. So it's probably
Hmm.
bouncing a founder to a different role, etc.
Hmm.
So as you look at Salt AI, think of its walled off and its orchestration of different AI.
Right.
workflows. And so it's taking one workflow from over here, put it over here. And again, it's we're going to see more of these like ServiceNow. We're going to see more of
Correct.
these
Yeah.
workflow assistants
Yeah.
that are AI based. So
Nice.
I love their name
Yeah.
and the movie. So if you're
Not
out
to be
there,
confused with Salt Labs, different company.
different. This is Salt AI. But
Yeah.
congratulations on the $3 million raise.
There we go. All right, I've got one more.
Okay.
Rapid Canvas raises 16 million in funding to enhance its no-code AI platform.
Oh,
I
cool.
love this play. HR is strapped for cash,
Yeah.
right? They're drowning in data, but they're strapped for cash. So they have all this great data, they have all these great people, ideas. They don't know what they can't. They know what they want to do, but they can't do anything with it. So this allows them to go in no code and build what
Yeah.
they need and what they want. So think dashboards and things like that. But think turnover predictions, workforce demand, talent intelligence. They now have the option and can. This is what they do. This is what they bring to the table. So they'll be able to build dashboards to help predict all of that and push them along and save them some pain.
I love it. Last funding for the day. Tinner announces a $5.4 million seed funding to scale AI for leadership development. This is on Global Newswire, so you can go read a little bit more about it. I like this because my hope is whatever you do for AI for leadership and
Hmm.
development, that it eventually permeates the rest of the organization.
Right.
This is typical of a lot of things. They start with high performers and executives, and all of a sudden see middle managers in front of all the employees, etc. So good for them. Doesn't really
Love it.
matter to me where you start. I'm glad that they started somewhere, and I hope it proliferates the organization. And that's it, Ryan.
And that's it. We're done. We did everything we needed to do today. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. William, have a wonderful Sunday evening watching the Cowboys get slaughtered. Just saying, I mean,
100%.
you know.
Dude, we're looking at draft picks.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
key. Draft
yeah,
picks.
yeah. You'll be you'll have good draft picks for the next 10 years with you
Hundred
guys.
percent.
So
100%.
anyhow, thank you all for listening. Subscribe, like, love us. Give us a rating if you could, and we'll see you next time.